Girls, we are back and excited. Here with me are our girls, Lex, Coco, and Ness. Girls, can you say hello this evening?
Hello this evening.
To our virtual hosts, we want to thank you for taking the time to be here with us. Ladies' night it happens because you show up every Monday night to be here with us.
Yes.
Thank you very much for taking the time to be here. We love you and appreciate you. And ladies, we would like for you to do something with us for the next 30 seconds. Can you start tagging your friends, your mom, your neighbor, your coworker? Tag any lady or young lady that I want to promise you that tonight you will be blessed by the word, by our special guest that is here today. So please go ahead and start tagging somebody. You have a few minutes before we take this on the road. So tonight is a special is so special and exciting. It's a special and an exciting night for us because we have a very special guest with us. God is using her to share her story to bless so many that can relate to what she has gone through. So tonight, I would like to introduce to you Vanessa Ceballos. Please help me welcome her by commenting a heal emoji and just sharing the love with her today. And I'd like to give a little bit of a little bio of Vanessa. In 2013, Vanessa made the choice that she didn't believe in Jesus Christ. She believed in higher power, but not Jesus. This came to surprise so many due to being raised in church and involved in many activities. The next few years were filled with meaningless things and people that try to fill the void. It wasn't until February 2018 she made the choice to come back to the feet of Jesus. At this point, she was damaged, hurt, ashamed, and embarrassed, only to find out the creator of the universe was proud and loved her. Today, she is the wife, mother, and the creator of a podcast, Imperfect Woman. Ladies, can you please welcome Vanessa Ceballos?
Woo!
Yes,
Hello.
we are excited to have you here. We just want our virtual host to see you. Do you want to greet them just for a few seconds? And
Yes,
we'll have you
hello,
on.
my fellow hosts. I from another host that I kid you not, I have not missed an episode. I have tuned in from all of them since season 1. Super excited to be here. It honestly feels like a dream come true. So it is an honor.
And it is an honor for us to have you here and a privilege that you would be able to share your story. And this is what this season is about, is just sharing stories about ordinary women like you and I that are just living life, but something happened in their life that changed everything around. So we are super excited, Vanessa, to hear everything that you have to say tonight. So ladies, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go into She Things. She Things is a segment where we talk about beauty, lifestyle, and and everything in between. We have always had a good time, but this season we are taking it to another level, which I am enjoying. There's nothing like being able to interact with you ladies and just learn from each other. So today on She Things, we want to talk about unpopular opinions because this has been my favorite. I just love all of
Last
the
time we had too much controversy.
yes.
And here you guys go again this season.
I love
And-
ruffling feathers. This is my spot right
Yes,
here.
we have enjoyed it. So today we're going to talk about things that others are raving about, but we don't really care for. So ladies, let's go ahead and get started tonight. Vane, let's go ahead and start with you.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not much of a TV person, and there's this one show that I hear so many women talk about it. You're not going to catch me. I don't care how much of a reality is to me. You're not going to find me. The Bachelor.
Oh.
I don't even know how many seasons there are. I understand they're good looking, but honey, I can't. I can't. Like my brain cells just can't go there.
Yes.
So
cheers.
There's no disagreement here.
I have never seen a single episode.
I am a believer of The Bachelor.
Coco.
I am. However, the Lord convicted me probably about a year ago, but up to that point, I had missed very few seasons.
Oh,
but
Ness and I are sipping on our tea.
I was the one who had a secret group of friends who we would text and, who we thought were the winners were. And I don't know why. I mean, it's a fairy tale thing. We know that out of the 20-something seasons that there's been 2 successful marriages.
Wow.
Divorce. But I don't know. It is junk TV. But you know what? I'm not there anymore. That's my.
I just want to chime in and say that your girl Coco tried to lure me in to her bad habits. Okay, she tried to have me sit down with her and watch a season, and I was like, "Hold up a second. They're all going to kiss the same guy, and then they have this thing called fantasy suite. You are out of your mind, child.
That is
out of your mind if I'm gonna watch something so crazy."
Nobody's talking right now, but I know that there are a lot of people that are like Bachelor Nation on
facts.
On the show.
Facts.
Because
you got hidden bachelorettes out there. I got you.
Nation on the ladies' night, they are very quiet right now. Yeah. But they're here. Know it.
So, ladies, if you are a Bachelor's fan, go ahead and give us that emoji with your hands up. That's a no for me as well. That's, I would say, like Donald Trump, that's fake news. That's not reality. So yeah, that's a no for me. So let's see, Ness. Let's go ahead and go to round 2 with you, Ness. What do you have for us today?
Okay, so this is just my opinion, and I know it's unpopular, hence the title of our segment. But here we go.
My gosh.
Expiration dates on food are just a suggestion. That's it.
Wow.
You can take it, you can leave it. I
agree.
There's not a single cell in my body that believes that at 12 a.m. on Friday, January 9th, that thing suddenly goes right and it's an inedible. So
let me tell you that 3 days before that expiration date, it's already bad. 3 days before, it's time to throw it out.
I need to interject right here.
Oh, Lord.
Where's Coco's mute button? Where is Coco's mute button?
I have gone through her refrigerator and her pantry with 2-year-old things.
What?
Like, no, it's so good.
I'm just saying, like, and let me tell you where I'm living, okay? I'm not living like the day after it's bad, dump it out. I'm living like, the block of cheese got a little mold on it, cut it off and eat the rest.
Oh my gosh, no, Ness, no.
I'm alive. Look at my skin. It's glowing.
That bacteria is good for you.
Look at my life. I'm living good, so it must be doing something right. That's all I gotta say. So
there's a reason they put expiration dates. Ruthie
said they have to by law.
I will say this. I think it's all mental. Don't you guys think? Like, once you see that expiration date, I throw it away. I'm like, I'm not eating that.
It's in your head, and you know what? This is what you need to do, girls. You need to smell the thing. If it smells bad, dump it out. That's when it's bad. Okay,
it's a smell test
on there it's required by law to have it on there. So that don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? So
she's still alive. Her kids are alive. We're
good.
You're
saving so much money right now. Y'all could be eating real good if you would just take my advice and come over to this side. I see them vomit faces in the comments. I see you, Ruthie, coming at me. I'm eating good, sis.
You were everybody's favorite until tonight. I am so happy. I'm climbing the ladder.
Yeah, that's a huge no for me too. Come on, Coco, share your.
And mine's not a huge thing. It's just a preference. But they're at every Christmas party, every Valentine's party. Like, they just keep making appearances, and I don't know why they haven't been banned. Because it's straight up sugar, but they are these sugar cookies from Walmart's with the frosting. They change the color for the seasons, but people love them, and they are pure sugar. They are disgusting. I don't know why they keep selling these things.
Well,
they sell out.
Mind you, they're full of sugar. They can send you to a diabetic coma or something.
Yes, they can.
My God.
Chemicals, though, for real, don't they?
Do
I
what?
don't know what they have.
They kind of taste like chemicals. Like it's like
It tastes like something, but it's not cookie.
yeah.
See, someone agrees with you. They're saying those are the best, straight up, straight to the thighs. Come on, thighs. Come on, Beyonce thighs. Yes.
My gosh. Yeah, no. Okay, let's go, Lex.
Listen, I know that some of you came at me last time we did unpopular opinion, and I could care less. Your girl could care less because I have an opinion. I have a right to my opinion. And I'm gonna come at you again with another with another movie, okay? That was a total flop. Marry Me. More like Divorce Me. It was awful. It was. Let me tell you something. I think I big up J Lo. I think
Me too.
she's got straight fight. That girl is a hustler. Don't watch that movie. That girl's a hustler. I agree with her grind. I think when you can be a fly girl and now have a whole enterprise, you're the bomb. You feel me? But I was hoping for The Wedding Planner, Made in Manhattan, Enough. I was hoping for that kind of a movie.
Yeah.
But when she came out with Marry Me, and to say that Maluma was on there, a Colombian, I was hoping for more. And I was like, why is this movie this long?
That movie was so boring that I kept falling asleep and she kept screaming at me to wake up. But isn't that true, Lex?
I just want to say I'm so grateful that I did not see this in the movie theater. I am so grateful that we had some good popcorn and snacks because the movie was straight and legitly boring. Lifetime had better movies. J-Lo, what's going on here? I need you to come back, come to the drawing board, come to the right side of things. There'll never be another Selena movie for J-Lo because that was epic. You feel me?
That's true.
But I was hoping once again for that real good like romance. That wasn't it. So ladies, save yourself. No, you do not want to see that movie. Do not watch it. It was a no for me.
Okay. Wow.
So we apologize in advance if you were planning a date night with your husband to go watch that. We apologize for what Lex just did. Anyway, so ladies, mine was you got girls know that I have to wash my hair every day. So everybody raves about the dry shampoo. It's a big fat no for me.
Wow.
I have tried the ones that are at the drugstore. I've tried the ones at Ulta. It's a big fat no for me.
Yeah.
I do not like dry shampoo. I wash my hair every day and I use my regular shampoo. So for me, it's dry shampoo. Sorry.
Wow. Yeah, that's controversial.
That is
Wow.
controversial. That's like fighting.
You know what? We don't got time to be washed. It's an emotional commitment to decide to wash your hair again.
And that comes from the two people on this show that go at it with the hair. It's
Dry
Ness and Melody.
shampoo is from the Lord. It came down from heaven to rescue us mothers, okay, and keep us looking this good. Because this is day 3 hair right here. Okay?
You better go ahead, dry shampoo.
I'm just telling you, I tried it. The girls that are on here, Lex and Ness and Coco, they've all tried convincing me of it. Okay. I've tried it and I put the dry shampoo after I get out of the gym. It just isn't working for me. I feel like I'm sweating more and no, it's a big fat no for me. It's not working out. Sorry, ladies. I know some of y'all are coming at me on the comments, but no, it's a big fat no for me. So ladies, before we go to the next segment, we want you to share some unpopular opinions with us, and we would like to bring them on the show. We'd like to share. Let us know your name, your last name, and what your unpopular opinion is, and we'd like to share it on the show. Isn't that right, ladies?
Yeah.
So please DM us and let us know. So that's it for She Things.
All right, girls, it's time for Girl Get It Together. And your girls are always here to help you get your life together. And let me tell you, this season, we're flipping things around. This season, you guys are asking us the questions and we're asking you the question because we need help. And today we have a very interesting question, which we've been contemplating since we got it. And the question is, what did you learn from your girlfriend that you did not learn from your mom? I think this is spectacular. So let's keep it 100 and real. And, a lot of people are saying the whole sex thing, like I had to learn, intimacy, sexual intimacy from another place, but the confines of my home and my mother. But I'm excited. I want our virtual host to chime in on this question. What did you learn from your girlfriends that you did not learn from your mom? And let's start off with Ness.
Yeah, so I learned about grooming my eyebrows, which in middle school, not from friends, not from my parents, who were very angry when I started to pluck my eyebrows.
Did you have that like straight line situation?
Not until high school, because it wasn't in until then. But yeah, so obviously a lot of regret with over plucking. But then, there was, I didn't really learn anything about that at home. But then another one that I learned from friends was the proper undergarments. Okay. Like I'm talking top and bottom. Like those were just conversations we just didn't have at home. And my friends were there to, no, you need this strapless bra or this one for racer back tank top to kind of fit underwear, or this type of underwear to, to go under that kind of type of dress or whatever. So those were conversations that we're having amongst girlfriends, definitely not at home, for sure.
All right. Come on, Maudie. What did you learn from your girlfriends? I'm interested.
Well, I learned about my period from my friends. That was something that was not discussed at my household. And even when my friends shared that information with me and I went home and shared that with my mom, I remember her just like, no, we're not going to talk about that right now. That's not something you need to know right now. And so for me, it was learning that through my friends. And of course, at a later age, I want to say like maybe my junior and senior year was about tampons, which I prefer over pads any day. And yes, they are the best. And so in a way, it was learning that. And also about pap smears, it wasn't something that my mom would ever visited with us, even being very
even
vulnerable
at an older
and
age. Okay.
yes, and being transparent, even right before I was going to get married, that going to the doctor and getting checked and making sure everything was okay. My mom was a wonderful mom, gave me a lot of advice, but those were just things that I think they were brought up, and it wasn't things that they talked about. And so those were things that I learned about my friends. And Lex, I don't know if it's okay for me to share. Shout out to my daughter, Abby, who is watching, and some of her girlfriends there in Sagu, but she did a survey with her friends. And today, girls that are in the university and just they learned about sex and, about their periods and stuff through friends, because some of their moms thought talking about sex was a sin. And so I was sharing with Lex today how important it is for us to be transparent with our daughters, because I think that when you're able to visit about subjects like this with your daughters, even before they get married, when you become a mother, when you're an adult, those are going to be subjects that you're not going to feel uncomfortable speaking to your mom, and your mom's not going to feel uncomfortable speaking to you about.
Right.
So, anyway, just a little.
Yeah. Well, Coco, share.
I think yes, the sex that everybody has been already sharing. I think that's a big one. I think makeup for me definitely was, at the beginning, it was like, here's some powder and some mascara. But as makeup has evolved, I've learned a lot from different girls here and there, and lashes now, so definitely that from girls wasn't something that, and I think the makeup was the little that I did know, it was for my older sisters. It wasn't even for my mom per se. So yeah, I think besides the sex, just and dressing, I think that as well. My mom always bought us clothes even up till college, but my friends were the ones that were tell me how to wear things.
Interesting. Vanessa.
Okay, so this one I can't say that it's from friends. I'm gonna have to say it's more from bully side, okay, which is kind of sad if you think about it. But the whole like you gotta shave your mustache and like shave it, like not just your legs, but shave. It's like I remember getting made fun of because of my mustache, and I'm like, oh. And then like my friends are like, dude, just like shave it off. I'm like, dude, it's not even that bad. Like you can't even see it unless you're like that close to me, you know? And then like I don't know, I guess the older I got, it was like one of those that you have to shave not just your legs and your underarms, honey. You gotta shave. So that's one thing that I had to learn from friends and bullies too is, honey, we gotta shave.
Ooh. Well, I just want to chime in really quickly and just kind of give all of our sisters and our virtual hosts just a quick tip. You are the greatest influence that your daughters have in their lives. And I know that conversations can be a little bit awkward at times, but listen, there are a lot of things that you should have learned at home, perhaps, and you learned later in life, or you had to do it as a trial basis on your own. But I encourage tonight, you mom, you sister that's watching and listening, I encourage you to have great conversations with your kids, because let me tell you, there's so many nuggets that you have that are going to be treasures for your daughter. So don't be embarrassed. In my life, I practically had to learn about relationships, about being a woman, about being strong, about speaking up for myself, about faith. I had to learn these things on my own. And I really have always desired that mother alongside of me. Now, as all of our girls here, okay, all of your hosts, we have excellent mothers. It's not the absence of a mother here, but it was the absence of conversation.
Yeah.
So I encourage you today to have some conversations with your daughter, not just about sex. You know what? We talk to them about other things. Talk to them about what they like, dislike, about the guys that they're seeing. What kind of guy do they want to be with and spend their life with? There are other conversations. What kind of books are they reading? What are they looking forward to in life? What kind of savings plan do they have? There are conversations that you can have with them today that'll change their tomorrow. That's it for Girl Get It Together.
Virtual host, tonight's episode is sponsored by Emerald of the Sea. They're a faith-based nonprofit organization whose mission is to encourage, empower, and educate the world through sex trauma, recovery, and prevention. They offer mentorship for trauma survivors, survivor retreats and conferences, outreach collaboration, youth trafficking prevention, child abuse prevention training, and workshops for churches. They also have a 2-year trauma-informed and Holy Spirit-led mentorship program empowering survivors to heal from sexual trauma through hope, healing, and freedom found in Jesus Christ. Please visit their website, www.emeraldsofthesea.org, to get involved. In a sea of billions, you are the emeralds that God sees. And stay tuned, because in March, they're giving away a beautiful druzy blue gold necklace. Blue is the awareness color for human trafficking and also represents serenity, stability, and wisdom. So stay tuned in the month of March to get this beautiful necklace. It's a $35 value. If you are interested in partnering up and being a boss babe here on Ladies Night, please send us a message to thisismytimeministries@gmail.com.
Girls, it is time for Big Chat, and you must know I am so excited for this evening's segment because we get to dive in with our guest host, and this is a testimony that you're not going to want to miss. There's still time to tag your friends, your sisters, and I would even encourage you to tag somebody who might in this moment be struggling with their faith, struggling in their ability to reconcile with the Father, because this story that you're going to hear tonight will absolutely encourage their faith. Listen, every believer has their own faith story. And even as you chime in every Monday night and watch us and you see us share about the gospel, share about our lives, you have to know that we're undone in our faith, that we are a work in progress. We are still on that journey toward the perfecting that our Father has promised us, and we are continually working towards that day, right? Like Paul says. And in fact, most of you logging in tonight are still on your journey as well, discovering what it truly means to walk in faith, having that faith muscle constantly stressed and pulled and exercised so that it would build that endurance. And you know what? Some of those important moments that have really tried and tested our faith, it's so valuable to share amongst fellow believers for the encouragement of the body as a whole. And so that's why we are so focused on the stories this season. We want to hear your story. We want to hear what God has done, what he is doing, and what he's about to do in your life. And so tonight we have Vanessa, the most beautiful name I've ever heard in my life.
Here we go.
Tonight to share, and just want to start by thanking you for your transparency, your vulnerability, because there's so many stories out there that are just so perfect that we just can't even get into that space with them. We need women who are bold and brave enough to lay it out raw and say, this is who I am. And this is what God's doing in me. He can do the same for you. We need that honesty. And so I just want to start by thanking you for that. But your story is one that is so inspiring to other women. And we'd like to spend some time tonight just learning specifically about that journey that you were on, the discovery of faith, where you are now, and everything else that goes in with that. So the first question I want to ask you, Vanessa, is what caused your initial doubt in God? Kind of give us a little bit of background there.
So just to kind of briefly or quickly, answer your question, I think what started everything, and that's why I'm such a huge advocate on this, is I started listening to the wrong people. Wow. So that listening ear, I was lending it to people who were non-believers. Wow. And not only that, but this one's huge too. And I had to learn this the hard way, but I was allowing myself to be fed books, articles, music, without the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
I wasn't using that discernment. So I think that was the very beginning point of my wheels starting. And I started just questioning things a little bit more. So that was the initial doubt for sure.
So that's where it sounds like that seed, that's all it takes, right? Just like the Bible says that it's just even a mustard seed for faith, but wouldn't that be the same thing for doubt? Like a cancer to our spirit, just takes root and takes over your life. And so you're going to hear a little bit from us too. And Lex, I'll start by asking you, what was a defining moment that you can recall in your faith walk?
I love that we're sharing stories, and not everyone was born and raised in church. I know a lot of our hosts have been, but for me, the defining moment was crisis time. I was finding myself in a very deep depression, and I had heard about this Jesus that loves you so much and that will forgive your sins. And I was contemplating suicide in my teens. I was contemplating, I no longer want to live in this household that brings me so much pain. And I no longer want to live in this life that I just don't see a good tomorrow. So contemplating suicide two or three times, and just being afraid to do it is really what didn't allow me to go full force with it. But one night at 17 years old, I called out to God. I wasn't in a church. I was in my bedroom, and I said, if you're real, then I need you to forgive me, because by that time I had done a lot of things that a 17-year-old shouldn't have done. And I lived a life that no one knew about. I was one person in the morning and a different person at night. And I needed an escape. I needed a reason to live. And that night I needed an immediate answer. I needed to know that God was real and that his forgiveness was real. And I didn't hear anything initially. I turned on BET,
and all of a sudden Michael Pitts, Pastor Michael Pitts is on from Cornerstone Ministries is on, and he's preaching a message on the story of Joseph and how it just starts with a dream.
and that God is going to take you out of the darkest place in your life and bring you to a place you've never, ever imagined. And I believe that was a word for me. And that moment I told the Lord, thank you. And now I'm going to go save other young people like me.
Wow. Oof. Amazing. Vanessa, how about you? Defining moment in your faith walk.
You know, just like Pastor A as well, you know, it was that moment of that suicide, that moment that you do start to contemplate it. And that's how I knew I don't have a purpose.
Yeah.
When that purpose is gone, that's when you start contemplating suicide, because you don't have anything else to live for. And I just remember, and I remember getting out of bed one day, out of that whole depression. I'm like, I'm done. And sure, like your parents, you know, you think about mom and you think about sisters, and I'm like, the only answer was like, they'll eventually get over it. That was the answer to it. I don't know what stopped me that day. Okay, but get it. And this is TMI, but it's such an interesting story, the way it happened, the way that I came to the feet of Jesus. But it was February 28th, that night, okay, 2018. And it was, I get home from work and it's really late. It's already dark time. I go straight to the bathroom and my toilet's not working, if you know what I mean. I call my cousin and she lives, you know, like really close in the same apartment complex. And I said, girl, let me use your toilet. I got to go right now. And she said, yeah, come over. So I walk over to her place. I use the bathroom. I'm about to walk out. And she said, hey, have you heard of Pastor Michael Todd? I said, no, I haven't. I said, but hey, thank you for letting me use your bathroom. She said, no, look. And she starts sharing it about me. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, it's really interesting. She sends me the link and she says, no, go ahead and listen to it. On my walk back to the apartment, I'm listening to it. And I'm like, okay, you know, this is interesting. Like, this is really cool. This is what's so weird. I get back to my apartment. My bathroom works. It wasn't working when I left, but it was working when I got back. So that's how I know Jesus needed me to be at my cousin's apartment.
Yeah.
So that I can know this preaching. And on February 28, 2018. And I said, okay, God. I said, if your love is real, let me try it.
Wow.
And that day, by myself in a 1-bedroom apartment,
amazing,
I gave my life to Christ.
That's incredible. It gives me chills. But there's one thing I want to point out about your story is that I think that there is a perception that women like us who are on these self-created platforms, let's just be honest, we have microphones in front of us, we have a cool little name tag below the bottom, that there is somehow some longevity, some long history, some kind of credentialing that has created this perfect space that we're standing right now. But 2018 wasn't that long ago, Vanessa. So what do you say to those women who think, oh, well, maybe somewhere far down the road, some way, someday, that one day, maybe long from now, maybe one day, then I'll be fully secure in my faith?
Wow.
To that woman that says one day, don't wait. There's so much purpose and so much love and so much life that comes from the moment that you say, okay, that you say yes, the moment that you really do redeem yourself completely. There's so much life. And I only wish that I would have known it before 2018.
Yes.
If I could just interject, I have the great honor to say that I met Vanessa when she was away from her faith. I met Vanessa in crisis mode. You know, I met Vanessa and her family. She wasn't, obviously, we had come into Texas and we met once at a dinner, you know, at a lunch. And Vanessa was in crisis mode and her loving family was like, can you just talk to her? And I'm like, talk to a stranger? How's that going to work? Like, she's going to be like, who is this chick? You know? And so just knowing her story before 2018 and seeing her walk today, her life and Ness, you said it. How is it that we're only talking a couple of years ago? But her whole life changed the moment that she said yes to Jesus.
Yeah.
Her whole life changed the moment that she said yes.
I think that the point I want to drive home here is for everyone chiming in is that the whole purpose, right, of This Is My Time Ministries is to see women step into their purpose.
Yeah.
And I think we have to let go of the notion that it's a one day, someday soon. I think we have to let go of that rhetoric or that lie, or until I achieve this title, or until I finish this degree, until I get this credential, until I finish this course, or until I get this many followers, until I've established a proper platform, until. I think that the day that the Lord gives you an experience, an encounter, the day that he delivers you, the day he gives you freedom, that is the day that you
That
are
is the
now
day. So
called
good.
to
So
be
good.
called to
Yeah.
spread the good news of the gospel,
Yes,
called to tell the
Yeah.
world about
Yeah.
how good God is. Like the woman at the well, she immediately took off and immediately began to testify who Jesus was. And I think there's so many women probably shortcutting themselves right now. They've already received a word from God in their prayer time, and yet they think that they have to wait for some perfect type of scenario or circumstance in order to spread the gospel.
Yeah.
But you are a minister as soon as you've accepted Christ. That is the Great
on.
Commission, right?
Yeah.
We're called to tell the world the good news of Jesus through the greatest story ever written, and there is no more time to wait. There's no more time. There is a sense of urgency in the spirit right now in the heavenlies. And that is why he will break your toilet, send you to your neighbor's house to go use the bathroom,
Come on.
interrupt where you're at, because he's like,
Say
listen,
that. Interrupt. Lord, would you
That's good.
interrupt
That's
women
good.
tonight?
listen, honey, we got a job to do, and you're the woman for the job.
Right.
Woo!
When you wake up in the morning, the ministry that you do is that right there in that moment. And I stress this to you: when you get to pray for a neighbor, when you get to hug somebody that needed to be hugged, when you get to stop and just ask somebody how their day is, that is ministry, and that is the gospel. That is the tangible hands and feet of Jesus that we desperately and urgently need. Don't wait any longer. And I love that, if you will, you're fresh out of hell, Vanessa, 2018, coming here stomping on Satan's head like, what? What you got for me?
Fresh out of hell. Come
Fresh
on.
out of hell. And
I
you
love
still
that.
smell good. You still smell good. Question number 3. Mauri, I'm sorry we didn't get to you.
No, it's okay.
Tell us, you have a defining moment in your faith walk. What is it?
Yeah, mine was in November of 1994. I grew up in a pastor's home. I grew up going to church my entire life, and knowing, sitting in Sunday school class. But I remember it was in 1994. I had gone through abuse, physical abuse, and living with a lot of anger, not distrusting, any man, even my father. Not that my father had ever done anything, but just feeling that distrust. And I was laughing earlier because you said something. God will give us that defining moment. And I remember sitting at a convention in 1994 in the middle where I couldn't get out. I either had to go from one end where there was one of my youth pastors, or the other end where the other youth pastor was. So there was no way of leaving,
Escape.
no escape. But I remember Sam Rodriguez was preaching there, and I remember him speaking about how Christ had paid for our sins and for our hurt and for our traumas. And I remember so tired of feeling like I was always having to guard myself. I was always I was always protecting myself, because I didn't know when the next time, when it was going to occur again. Because for me, every person that was supposed to be there to protect me, they had failed. So it was me having to protect myself from all of the fear and the pain. But I remember that day telling the Lord, like, I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of feeling so afraid. I'm tired of always having to guard myself. I'm tired of having to protect myself. And I know that you've already paid the ultimate price, and I need you to come. And I remember in 1994, on Thanksgiving Day, not only feeling the presence of God come over me and feeling the chains just begin to fall. But I was baptized with the Holy Spirit all in one night. And I remember my life never being the same after that. Now, let me tell you something. Don't get it twisted that those moments won't come back to torment you. Those moments won't come back to accuse you. They will. It's not like you're free and, oh my gosh, everything's okay, everything's a bed of roses. They will come back and they will come to taunt you. But man, greater is God who works in us and helps us through those defining moments. So
we're actually gonna come back to that point you just made about being taunted post post salvation. And so we'd love to hear more about that, what you mean by that, Mari. But before we do, Vanessa, how do we know, for the women that are chiming in, maybe a sister, a daughter, a niece, maybe a pastor's kid who is just struggling, like, is Jesus real? Is this real? Like you said, you there was a date where you were like, Jesus does not exist. God's not real. There's a higher power out there somewhere, but this Jesus thing ain't it. So now, having experienced everything, how do we know that Jesus really is the way, the truth, and the life?
For me, that's a great question. For me, it was because when you look everywhere else and you don't have, your void is still there.
Yeah.
But then yet when you come to the feet of Jesus and that void is finally gone, that's how I knew Jesus really is the way. Because Ness, I looked for it at the bottom of every bottle. I looked for it behind the cigarette stub. I looked for it in different beds. I looked for that void to be filled.
Wow.
But the moment that I said yes to Jesus, I remember one day after I had already said yes to Jesus, and I remember, ironically enough, and this is so vivid in my mind, but getting out of the shower and just stopping and thinking, I feel complete.
Wow.
I feel full. I feel whole. And that's how I knew Jesus really is the way, the truth, and the life.
Good. So good. So good. Lex.
Man, I'm trying to hold back the tear. Like, I'm like squeezing my hands to not
let it out, girl.
Like, use it. I just agree. I feel like this side of the screen has like similar stories, like we are the Samaritan woman, at the well. We've been married to everything but God. And then finally Jesus comes to us and says, I'm going to give you this. This is, I'm going to satisfy your thirst. And you're like, yes, give that to me. He says, but first get your husband. And then he kind of like exposes every nasty thing that you've ever done in your life before he can fill you. And then he uses you. But I think the defining moment for me that made Jesus real was freedom. Being able to walk in freedom, being able to feel like a person, like I had purpose, like I existed for a reason. I was no longer afraid. I was no longer afraid of tomorrow. I was no longer afraid of failing. I was no longer hiding, What if they find out the lifestyle that I've lived and who I really am? Just being able to wake up in the morning and say, I don't have to hide anymore. I am free. I am completely free. I am not hiding anything. People, what you see is what you get. So for me, it was like there, here in my life, I am marveled and still in awe of the things that only Jesus can do. And every time he does something, like he did something so great this Sunday in church, I sit back and say, there is no way that people can negate how real this Jesus is. There is no way, because man can't do it. Man can't do it. Buddha can't do it. Muhammad can't do it. No, not even Mother Teresa can do it. But Jesus with just one word can do it. And if he has us here today, and I'm talking about us women and those virtual hosts that are watching, if he has us here today and he's calling us and he's telling us to move, that's something only God can do. We can't do that on our own and for ourselves. So, I mean, the application of how I know that he is real is just so much, Ness. I think we would need years to fill that slot with that question.
Yeah. Yes, 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 yes to all that. So now back to what Mauri had kind of touched on before, because this is important, right?
Mhm.
That we do have this moment. We do have a BC experience and then a after Jesus experience. But even during our walk with God, there are snares set before us. There is a plot
Yeah.
to steal the promises that God has laid out for us. There is still, pieces of our humanity that try to rear their ugly head and revive a previous version of yourself and breathe life back into that old body that God has already declared dead, right? That's just a part of it. And if we're going to be honest, a walk in faith does not mean a walk without struggle, does not mean a walk
Yes.
without suffering, does not mean
Oh,
a
yeah.
walk that is perfect. In fact, he guarantees us that we will have troubles, that we will. It says you've chosen now to suffer with Christ, to
Right.
suffer along with him, and he understands that. And so we can never, ever, ever entertain any sort of idea that now to choose Christ, to choose faith means that everything will be rainbows and butterflies. That's just not it.
It's not.
But I can't imagine going through some of the things that I've been through without him. I can't imagine the
Say
people
that.
who go through experience death, experience
Mhm.
terminal illness, experience horrific types of abuse, and have no Jesus to turn to, have no rock to stand on, have no comforter to cover them, have no shelter. I can't even wrap my head around that, because even with him, sometimes it feels like, yo, I'm not going to make it. It's
Yes.
impossible. So, Mari, what struggles do you continue to wrestle with even now in this stage of your faith walk?
Matt, listen, one of the things that I enjoy of Ladies Night is that we get to we get to let you in on the raw and the ugly of our lives.
Come on, Maudie.
That just because we're pastors' wives, we're ministers, doesn't mean that we don't experience betrayal, hurt. We don't experience loneliness. We don't experience moments where we don't feel protected. And those are things, I mean, inside the church. And let's be real. And by the grace of God, we're here because God helps us through some of those things. But some of the things that I've struggled with is simply that betrayal in the church. And then the enemy wanting to accuse me, man, even now, even after you've been able to overcome the things that you went through in your childhood in the church,
Yeah.
you're still experiencing betrayal. You're still having to guard put your wall up to guard yourself from the people that want to hurt you. And let me tell you something, as pastors, we have feelings too.
What?
We hurt as well.
Okay.
There's moments that that we cry, we hurt because we're as human as you are. So those are some of the struggles that I've had to continue to walk through, and hear the enemy just try to remind me, of where I was before 1998. But can I tell you, you were talking about Jesus being the way, the truth, and the light. One of the things that I've learned to understand is that everything God tells me, he is such a man of his word that I've
Yeah.
seen come to pass over my
That's
life.
good.
He
That's
doesn't
good.
lie. The enemy lies. The
Yeah.
people that come to hurt, to destroy your life, they lie to you, they betray you.
Yeah.
But God, man, every single thing that he has told me, every promise, everything that he has spoken in his word about me, he is the way. The Bible is a map of how we should live and the way we should carry ourselves. And so even those are struggles that I've been through as I've walked close to Jesus. Has it been hard? Yes. But holding on to his hand and knowing that I have already overcome, because he has overcome, I'm still here today.
Amen. So good. Lex, how about you?
Some of the things I struggle with even now. Can I be real and say depression?
Yeah.
The same thing that tried to kill me back, from birth until 1996 same thing that tries to lurk its ugly little head,
Yeah.
every once in a while. The feeling of not being good enough, the feeling of not being valuable enough, the feeling of, why am I existing?
Mhm.
Those are truths. Those are
Yeah.
truths, and those are things that I struggle with, constantly putting them back on the cross.
Yeah.
But those are things that are a constant struggle in my life.
Yeah. Vanessa, how about you?
For the first time ever, I'm going to admit this because I didn't think it was really a problem until I had to actually meditate on this. But I initially became agnostic because of all my disbelief, and I started doubting and questioning things. And here's where my confession is: if I'm not careful on what I read and who I'm listening to, I catch myself back in those thoughts.
Wow.
Does that make sense? So I catch myself back in the, well, how do I know that God is real?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
those moments that I catch myself like, well, wait a minute, Vanessa, we've been down this road before. And I have to go back to Jesus and say, hey, God, look, I'm having these thoughts again. Like,
Yeah.
let me put him on your feet again, because I know that they're just going to lead me to destruction. So
Yeah.
sometimes, and I have to, even if I'm reading a book, I have to be watchful. I have to be mindful of what I'm putting in. And if I catch it that it's starting to stir up my spirit, then that's when I close the book, I close the article, and I said, you know what, I'm not ready for this. But God, how about you help guide me? Holy Spirit, how about you guide me? And whenever I am ready into this. So sometimes I do struggle with that. And it's kind of hard to confess it, to be honest with you.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so good, especially in an information age, or where we like to subscribe to, TikTok theologians and what have you. It happens. I can see that being, a struggle. And I'll just chime in here for myself. Some of the things that I still wrestle with to this day are, I've been through the betrayals. I've been through the letdowns and the things from people, but my struggles are really within myself. Like the things that I have thought were laid dead, but were actually just laid dormant inside of the crevices and corners of my heart, and decide to wake up in days that, in moments where I'm most vulnerable, where I'm most emotional, where I'm most just on edge during transitions in life, right? Those are the times where the enemy really try to catch you slipping. But for myself, I've wrestled with shame my whole life for no apparent reason. Like I can't tell you specifically why, but shame, just the feeling of shame, feeling of being a burden, feeling of like not wanting to expose any types of flaws or weaknesses or things like that. And so I wrestle with that. I wrestle with asking for help because, oh no, that's shameful that you need help with something. And so I am in a space right now, in a journey where I am determined to break patterns, to break habits, and break programming that has kind of been operating in the background of my mind, right? And just on autopilot. This is just how I just continue to operate in everyday life, where God is actually saying to me now, actually, that's not normal. It just feels normal because you've been doing it for so long. It's not normal. It's not how I designed you. And I have better for you if you will go through the very painful road of undoing these things and allow me to break off those those things that were laid dormant. Let's put them to death now. Let's lay them down forever. And so I'm in that space right now. Lex, I've been seeing a professional Christian counselor. It's been amazing. And we're doing some really hard, deep, intense work. And it's amazing. So as we kind of close out this segment, Vanessa, I want to ask you one last question. For those ladies who are watching tonight, who have been praying, they're praying right now for somebody they love so much, who is wayward, who is fallen away from the Lord, who has lost their faith, who is just riddled with doubt and turmoil. What advice do you have for them?
This is going to make me cry. Okay. Okay.
All right, girl.
2 things that I had that I know were the ones that just wheeled me in. 1, prayer. And my mom was praying, family was praying, people I barely even knew were praying. And the only reason I know this is because when I did finally come to Jesus, they came back to me and said, I've actually been praying for you. I'm like, dude, you barely know my last name, but you'll be surprised. So 1, prayer. Okay. And 2, this is where I get teary. You've got to show them the love. Not just regular love, but the love of Jesus. Love them like Jesus would. because there was one person and she showed me what that love of Jesus was like. She showed me that what love without judgment looked like, and that was the real love that Jesus was trying to bring to me. So I would definitely say continue praying for them and love them like Jesus would love them.
So good. Stick around as we end this segment. You're going to hear from Vanessa tonight as she ends us off with our nightcap, and I guarantee you don't want to miss it. But Mari, what advice do you have for that woman that is praying for their loved one?
I'm with Vanessa. Continue to pray. Don't get tired. Don't get tired of praying for them, and be the Jesus that they see. Be the Jesus, man. Don't accuse. Just love on them, and I guarantee you that's all it takes. I mean, we're pastoring a church where we've had many come to Christ in the last 2 years, and many of them have said, "You loved me when you didn't have to love me.
Oh, yeah.
You extended your hand when you didn't have to. You went the extra mile without knowing who I was." So be the Jesus that they need to see.
So good. Lex.
I love all the answers. I think especially when it says God is love. Love is the definer here, and definitely prayer, but it's also not giving up. It's very easy to give up. We prayed for my father 20 something years and he got saved at 70 years old.
Wow.
So persistence, prayer, and just belief. God can do all things. He is the God of the impossible.
Yeah.
And so I agree with what the lady said. Show them who Jesus is through love, and you will find, one thing I've learned: people won't sit through a sermon, but if you feed them, they'll come.
Yeah.
So feed them
good.
well. Feed
Yeah.
them well and feed them to Jesus. Sit them at tables. Sit them at tables. Don't expect them to come to the pews, but sit them at tables where you could show them who love is by serving them.
So good. Listen, if you've been praying for a loved one to return back to faith, or maybe to even experience a real, true, authentic faith with Jesus for the first time, will you let us know in the messages, DM us, email us, let us know so we can be praying with you for that special person, and just know that they are not lost. God knows exactly where they are. He has them. And my encouragement to you to answer this last question about advice for approaching a situation like this would be, don't be afraid to abdicate your position on a topic in order to take up the posture of Jesus.
Yes.
Remember who he sat with. Remember who he took company with. It was all of the rejected, all of the dejected, all the marginalized people. He was not afraid to abdicate his position as king in order to take up a posture of humility towards the people that he loved most and who he knew needed him the most.
Yes.
And so that concludes our Chick Chat, ladies. And stay logged in. We got another 10 minutes here with Vanessa. We can't wait to hear it.
Okay, so this is the part that I open my heart. Hold on, I'm about to start crying. This is the part that I feel like it's open surgery again. It's the part where that wound is going to be open once again, and I'm okay with that. So just to share a little bit about me, who I am, and how I came back to the feet of Jesus. Yes, I actually was raised in church. I was a Sunday school teacher. I did youth. I did praise and worship. You named it, I was in it. Until I left the church. It was time to go to college and live outside that bubble that I like to think of. And short college came with some stuff, and I got to see what alcohol was like. But this is the moment. 2013, I decided to join the Peace Corps. And for those who don't know, the Peace Corps is a government volunteer program where you go and serve around the world and such. So anyways, it's not a faith-based. So I knew that going in, I was going to come across colleagues who were not faith-based. I thought I was ready. I came in full power, full gear, ready to just be able to change lives and be empowering to other people. But it had the complete different outcome. You know how in Proverbs it says that iron sharpens iron and a friend sharpens a friend? Well, when you surround yourself by non-believers, when you start lending that ear, that listening ear to people who don't share the same faith as you, how sharpened is my iron there? Not only that, but earlier I also said how I wasn't feeding myself what I needed. So I wasn't feeding myself the Bible. I wasn't feeding myself scripture. I wasn't feeding myself praise and worship. I wasn't feeding myself. My soul was needing it, but I wasn't doing it. And that's the moment that I started reading other articles just for fun, and books and listening to music. That's just for fun. But I did it without the Holy Spirit. I didn't have that discernment that eventually started to cause me to question my faith. And if you know what the Bible says about faith, that it's the shield. The Bible calls our faith the shield, that it can protect us from all the fiery darts that come towards us. So and you know what's crazy is that I vividly remember the day that I said, you know what, God, I don't believe in this anymore. I don't think I believe in God anymore. And it's crazy because all it took was me. And I remember also challenging God. Okay, God, will step up. Where are you at? Where are you, God? Then show me you're real. I don't exactly know what I was expecting. I don't know if I was expecting, like, I don't know, fire to fall from the sky or something. And I mean, looking back on it, he was showing me every single day that he was there. But I was expecting him to meet my expectations. And I wasn't opening my eyes to where he really was. And that was all around me. So that day, I decided to take off my helmet, the helmet of salvation. And of course, I got rid of my shield, the shield of faith. And life continues. Life keeps going, and the enemy's always going to be around us to attack us. And that's when just depression hits, anxiety hits. That's when you start to feel that void of something is missing. And like I said earlier, I looked for it. I looked for the void in clubs, in different clubs. I looked for it under the bottles. I looked for them everywhere. I couldn't find them. And when life really does continue, you eventually come to a point where you start to lose your purpose. You start to question it. When your self-worth goes down, when your depression it starts to increase more, you feel that void again. What's my purpose in life? And that's when suicide really starts to come in. But you know what amazes me? And I love this, okay? This is what I love about how God works. I was talking to a family member of mine, and I was just sharing with her that I was losing all this weight. And she said, are you depressed? I was like, yeah, I actually am, And her and I, she knew that I was already claiming to be agnostic, meaning higher power. I believed in a higher power, in the universe. I believed in like The Secret and all this other jazz. And she said, maybe you should talk to someone. And I said, no, girl, I said, it'll be fine. Like, I'll just, get over it. And so I'll just do some meditation and stuff. And she said, no, Vanessa. And these words stuck to me, okay? And to anybody who's listening out there, and if you're saying, you know what, I need to do this by myself. I'm going through a hard situation, but I need to do this by myself. I'm going to tell you what she told me. Life is difficult, and it's not meant to be done alone. Life is difficult, and it's not designed to be done alone. And she told me to reach out to people, and I did. And here I come with having no purpose in life, being suicidal. I had a phase, and I pretended like I had my life together, and really in the background I was crying, and I felt devastated. And surely enough, the one person that I started talking to, and you might know her, but she has a ministry called Stepping Into Your Purpose. Where I thought I had no purpose, I go to someone that has the ministry of stepping into your purpose. And not once does she judge me, condemn me, tell me, you need to stop this or you're going to go to hell. She never did. She showed me what that real love of Jesus was like. And that's really what just brought me back. I put on that helmet again, and I put on I grabbed my sword again, and I was really ready for life, because and this is the way that I visualize it. When you decide to take off your shield, when you decide to take off your helmet of salvation, and you decide to do world on your own, when you decide to do world with the universe, and with Buddha and whomever else, or on, whatever, the way that I see it is, you know what, life brings battles, okay? And if you think you're going to win with the Fisher Price battle suit, good luck, because I've been there and it doesn't work. We need a real armor. We need the real helmet. And it was those moments that when I did finally put him back, God started aligning things. He brought in the correct sponsor. He brought in the correct role models that I needed to teach me about love and to teach me what the love of Jesus was like. And it amazes me because, like I said earlier, February 28, 2018, by myself in the 1-bedroom apartment, I gave my life to Christ. And it was that moment that it was turning. Was I perfect? No, I wasn't perfect. I can't say that it was a night and day sort of thing. No, I was still going out to the club sometimes, but I was saved and I was trying to work on it. And Jesus really does work from the inside out, because all I was focused was God, let me just get to know you and love you. That's all. Let me just get to know you and love you and receive your love back. And surely enough, he started weeding out people that didn't need to be in my life. Sure enough, he started taking desires out of my heart that just didn't need to be there. And I am so thankful for that. 2018, at the end of that year, I actually met my husband. 2019, we got engaged. 2020, we got married. 2021, we had the first baby. 2022, I'm hoping for a second baby. And, I am just so amazed that when you finally say yes to God, just all the blessings and the alignments that come with it. And when he said, this is the purpose that I had for you. This is what I had for you. These are the gifts that I had for you. And I'm like, man, the enemy is a liar. Like, he really does come to kill, steal, and destroy your full purpose. And I'm so glad that you're tuning into Ladies Night tonight. I'm so glad that you're turning into the ministry of stepping into your purpose, because it's not until we really do say yes to God that we find out what that purpose is. And so I encourage you, if you are starting to question faith, I've actually had women say, Vanessa, I'm going through this and I'm starting to question things. Here's what I say. Do it. Go ahead. Turn your back on God. Go ahead. Lose your faith. I promise you, you'll find out why everyone always comes back. You're going to find out how hard it is and why every person who's atheist and agnostic and a non-believer always decides to come back. You can't do it. You can't do it without the love of Christ, without the grace and the mercy of Christ. So I encourage you just to continue living your life to the fullest, continue stepping into your purpose, and really surround yourself by godly women and godly people.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for tonight's nightcap. As I told you, I had just a small part, and I was able to witness what God can do when someone just says, okay, I'm ready for you to take over. And tonight, for anyone here that is questioning, is there a God? I know that was a question that we had from our virtual host tonight. How do I tell people that there is a God? How do I let them know that God really does exist? Challenge them. I used to do that in my walk with God. As soon as I gave over my life, I didn't know the whole Bible. I just knew my experience with God. Challenge them. Challenge them. I would tell people, listen, try God for 30 days. And if he doesn't work, give him back to me. Challenge God, because God is not afraid to be challenged. He is the true and living God, and he has a purpose for all of us. And I'm so glad that tonight we got to hear the heart of one of our very own virtual hosts. And you want to go to her podcast right there Imperfect Woman podcast, you want to go ahead and tune in to her podcast and see what she's doing. She's interviewing people and hearing about different women in different areas and seeing, where God fits into all of this. I am so glad that you tuned in tonight. We love you here so much. And we believe with all of our heart that God is going to reveal himself and make himself so real to each and every one of you. So tonight, we had asked 2-3 weeks ago for people to just chime in on what their stories were. And we had so many amazing voice memos sent over to us. And we did a little promo on sharing your story. So tonight, before we go, I want you to hear what everyone has to say as they share their story. This is Lex. Tune in next week for someone else sharing their story here on Ladies Night. Step out into your purpose, ladies. We'll see you next Monday night.
My story is one of resilience.
My story has been one of rescue, healing, and redemption.
My story is one of determination.
My story has been one of brokenness turned to breakthrough, turned to victory.
My story has been one of surprising detours. But I have to trust that God's ways are better than mine, and Father knows best. And it's in the process that I have to trust Him.
My story is one of perseverance.
My story has been one of brokenness, hurt, and loss, but I'm on my way to being restored and victorious.
My story has truly been one of joy.
My story is one of perseverance, forgiveness, and faithfulness.
My story has been one of good and bad, but overall I can testify of God's faithfulness and willingness to always work it all out for my good.
My story has been one of much sacrifice.
My story has been one of work in progress.
My story has been one of taking risks and new beginnings.
My story has been one of discovery.
My story has been one of finding love, and when discovering the love of Jesus, how transforming it can be for somebody's life.
My story has been one of the most challenging, heartbreaking, but victorious, and God is still writing, even to this day, my story.
My story has been one of survival.
My story has been one that, although it had many bumps and obstacles, my eyes were opened and made me realize how special I am. It reaffirmed that God has not forsaken me and that the calling He has over my life is more than I could ever imagine.
My story has been one of pain, regret, and dry bones. The central point of my story is the moment when these bones collided with the resurrection power of Jesus Christ. My story begins with the enemy's plan to destroy every particle of hope that could have existed within me from the beginning of my life. But it becomes a story of rescue, adoption, and an ongoing transformation and beautification in the hands of my Father. Mine is a love story with no end. My story is the evidence that there is nothing impossible for God, and that absolutely nothing can ever separate us from His love.